Okay, this video is for 4.5 day 3, that other kind of substitution I'm going to call TOKO just to kind of bring attention to it. And so this is when we have a TOKO problem. First we let u equal something. And this is looking a lot like what we did before. And then you do your du, again, what we did before, divide over that 1/2. Okay, it's looking like the same problem. Here's the difference. Okay, now normally when we have an x and a dx in the problem, we also, oops, that should be an x right there, sorry. We also have an x and a dx, but I only have a dx. In other words, that x is extra. That never happened before. If there was an x here, there would also be an x there, or it would be missing from both places. What we have to do is we have to take our initial u equals and we have to solve for x. And so u minus 1 would equal just 2x. So x would equal u minus 1 over 2. Or you may find it a little bit easier to write it as 1/2 u minus 1/2. Okay, and so we can see what this becomes down here. I'm going to tell you that I think it's a lot easier if you write the u first and think about what would the power be on u? 1/2, the square root. And then this part second, because what we're going to need to do is distribute here in a minute. Okay, and so look what's going to happen here. We're still not ready to integrate, but I need to distribute and then we can integrate. So 1/2, think about the power on u. Power here is 1/2 obviously. Power here is 1. You need to add those. This is just basic exponent rules. I'm not integrating. I'm just combining those two terms by multiplying. See, still the integration symbol, still the du. Okay, now we're actually ready to integrate. And so I'm going to put the 1/2 and give it a bracket. Now, just integrating this term right here, you have the 1/2 times, leave a space. Think about what would be your new power. If that was 3/2, my new power would be 5/2. So I would put 2/5 in front, and things cancel out a lot in this. Okay, now let's do the next one. We have 1/2 times, leave a space, u, and your new power would be 3/2, so 2/3 right in front. Again, cancel with that. The only other thing you have to do from here is rewrite the problem. So I'm going to write this as 1/5. It would have been okay if you had left it as the two fractions times each other. You don't have to simplify. But what you do have to do is go back to the x notation. Now, you could, if you wanted to, especially if this is multiple choice, you might want to do this. And I forgot something here, plus c, of course. You could distribute through that 1/2. You don't have to, though. This is totally fine and cool as your final answer. You could, though, distribute, and that would make that a 1/10, and that would make that a 1/6. That's optional. You don't have to do that. Okay, so let's look at the next examples. At any time, rewind, go back, listen to it again if you need to. Alright, now, you think you have two options for u. Pick the square root. So u here is 2 minus x. Du then, with derivative of 2 would be 0, and so that would just give me negative dx. Well, this negative is a -1, which I'm going to divide, and it's just going to go out like anything else. Alright, so this square root really is square root of u. So I'm going to go ahead and write it as that. I didn't forget about the x plus 1. I'm just going to write that part second. This is a TOKO because there's only a dx here, but I have an extra part right there. That's how you know you need to figure out what just x equals. In this case, x equals 2 minus u. You just solve this equation, get x by itself. So what would x plus 1 be? Well, it would be 2 minus u plus 1, which you could go ahead and say, okay, well, I know that that's 3 minus u. And this stuff gets easier the more you practice. Okay, next is the distributing. So u to the -1/2 times 3 is 3u to the -1/2. And then u to the -1/2 times -u, really to the 1 power, is going to be minus u to the +1/2, because you would add those two powers. Now you're ready to integrate. -1, put a big bracket, 3 times, and this part you should be comfortable with. So I'm going to go over this part rather quickly. Stop, rewind if you need to. Okay, plus c at the end. Last step, You could simplify these, make that a 6 if you want to. You don't have to, though. What you do have to do is always make sure you replace these little u's with what they're actually equal to, which is 2 minus x. Okay, also optional would be distributing that negative through. That's something you don't have to do, but you could do. It would just make it a negative 6 and a positive 2/3. All right, next example. Again, remember what I said last example. You have two options for u. Pick the square root. Du then would just be dx. I have no number in front now. And I know this is a TOKO because I have a dx here and here, but I have extra. So you need to get x by itself. This one's a little bit easier. It's just u minus 3. Okay, so I always like to start with just the u. Okay, what did I replace u with? So that's going to be u to the negative 1/2. And then right here I have 2 times x minus 1. So that's going to be 2 times u minus 3 minus 1 du. Alright, now let me go ahead and simplify this part right here. That's just going to be 2u minus 7. I know I'm going through these steps fast, so rewind as needed. Okay, so distribute here, 2u, again, 1/2, you just add those powers, minus 7u to the negative 1/2 du. Now you're ready to integrate. 2 times, leave a space. Your new power then would be add 1, and you just write the reciprocal in front. Alright, minus 7 times. Your new power on u would be positive 1/2, you would add. Put the reciprocal in front. Don't forget the plus c. Final answer, 4/3, x plus 3, 3/2, minus 14, x plus 3 to the 1/2, plus c. Okay, I'm actually going to not work number 3 because it's in your homework.